So Elizabeth Warren, she was confronted by an angry dad about free college. Let's take a look.
I want to get a question to you on a campaign issue. Just last night, there was a video that surfaced. A lot of people are talking about it today. It's of a father who approached you at an event and said, you know, it's not fair. I've saved for my daughter's college education, and now you're talking about forgiving and helping out all the people who didn't save.
My daughter's getting out of school. I saved all my money. She doesn't have any student. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us who did the right thing get screwed. No, it's not even that. Of course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations. I saved my money. He made more than I did. But I worked a double shift, worked extra. My daughter's work, she is 10. So you're laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. We did the right thing, and we get screwed.
For Americans who are in that father's position, who felt they did the right thing and you're bailing out those who didn't, what's your response?
Look, we build a future going forward by making it better. By that same logic, what would we have done? Not started Social Security because we didn't start it last week for you or last month for you? Think of it this way. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a public school teacher. My family had no money.
Are you saying tough luck to these people, Senator?
No. What I'm saying is there was a $50 a semester option for me. I was able to go to college and become a public school teacher because America had invested in a $50 a semester option for me. Today, that's not available. And our kids have taken on $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. We have got to back that up and say we're doing better going forward, that we're not going to say the next generation has to take on $2 trillion in debt and what? The next one, $3 trillion or $4 trillion or $5 trillion? We don't build in America by saddling our kids with debt. We build in America by saying we're going to open up those opportunities for kids to be able to get an education without getting crushed by student loan debt.
All right, Senator, thank you very much. We're up against the wall here. We appreciate you being on, and we hope to talk to you later on as this trial continues.
You bet.
So, yeah, her response is pretty good, you know? The whole controversy with Bernie Sanders aside, this is a reasonable response to the people, which you see online sometimes as well, going like, oh, well, you know, that's not fair because I had to pay for it, so why do people now get it for free? What's your alternative? Just keep it the way it is? It's not about you, man. It's not a personal thing, okay? So, first of all, just as she mentioned, you have $1.5 trillion debt crisis. It's not getting paid back, okay? So the only way to alleviate that is for the government to cancel it. That's one thing. So you already got to cancel the debts that have been incurred. You can't let it go on ballooning like that. It's not good, okay? You have to cancel it because it's never getting paid back. And the other thing is that it's an investment in your infrastructure, okay? It seems that most developed countries have already realized that and implemented free college because of that. It's an investment in your infrastructure. To have a healthy, growing economy, you need to have an educated workforce. You can't get that if you burden every one of your citizens with enormous amounts of student debt that don't get repaid. In the end, the government is paying it anyway, okay? So that's one thing. And this guy also seems to be under the impression, this dad, that if you have free college, you're not paying for it. No, it's being paid for by everyone with your taxes. It's not free, okay? It's still being paid for, just collectively now. You know, it's just like she said, with that logic, that means you shouldn't ever have Social Security because you didn't have it before? What kind of logic is that? I haven't seen people say the same thing about healthcare, which is absolutely ridiculous. You know, what does that mean? You know, should we not use penicillin because before it was invented, people just lived without, not lived, they rather died without it? What kind of logic is that? Are you an idiot? It's not about you. Again, it's not a personal thing, man. It's an investment in the infrastructure, and you need to alleviate the debt that's been incurred. It's never getting paid back. You can't just keep it like that. It's a ballooned debt crisis. So I don't know how to reason with people like that. It's not just about like other people getting it free and that's unfair to you. It's also about other people just can't get it. Period. Not everyone has that opportunity like you did to even earn that money and then use it for college. Do you understand that concept? That's what it's about. It's about the people who don't have any means It's not about the people who might have it and then choose not to spend it. That's what it's really about. I mean, besides the fact that, like I said, it's an investment in your infrastructure. That should be the number one argument for this stuff. If you don't comprehend that, I really can't help you. It's an investment in your infrastructure. But again, like I said, not everyone has the means to earn $200,000 or, save up $200,000 like you did and then use it on their kids. They just don't. They're broke. Okay? So actually, you're the one who's privileged who had the opportunity to even save that money in the first place. Poor people have the highest propensity to consume. They don't have the chance or the opportunity to save up money. They have to use it because they're broke. They use it on food, on rent, on medical bills. So actually, you're the one who's being selfish. You're the one who's privileged, who had that opportunity to earn that money and then save it up and use it on college. Other people can't. A lot of people don't have that money. They have to take out loans and then they're burdened by debt their entire lives. Okay? So you got to look at it that way because that's the truth. And like I said, most developed countries, they already comprehended this. The debt ain't good, and you need an educated workforce to stimulate the economy, both in the short term and the long term. Okay? You can't compete in a global economy in the 21st century without an educated workforce. It doesn't work. That's fantasy. So this is something that you should consider, just like when you build roads, when you build transportation, when you have a post office, anything that is related to infrastructure, you need an educated workforce and population to keep your civilization, your country going and stimulate your economy. I don't know how to simplify it and explain it any better than that. If you don't get it, I really don't know what to say. And Elizabeth Warren, I mean, I felt like she gave a pretty adequate answer. It was reasonable. She's definitely in the right here. Her college plan doesn't go as far as Bernie Sanders. She only wants to cancel about 95% of student debt, which, I mean, is already great, of course, compared to someone like Amy Klobuchar or Joe Biden, who are against free college and against canceling student debt. That's already magnitudes ahead. But it doesn't go as far as Bernie's, who wants to cancel 100% of it. So again, when it comes to instituting free tuition, they're both going to create a federal program to do that. I think they're relatively the same costs. Bernie Sanders is $700 billion, hers is $600 billion. They're relatively the same on that front. Where they differ the most is on student loan debt cancellation. Okay, so again, Bernie Sanders, he wants to cancel 100% of it, and her just 95%. So that's not one of the things where you need to go after Elizabeth Warren on. The real one you need to focus on is Medicare for All, her using corporate money from her 2018 Senate bids, things like that. And more recently, her blatant lying about Bernie Sanders trying to smear him as a sexist 2 weeks before the primary start, really. So anyway, but here she did pretty well. You need to explain all the points that I just raised to people like that dad who just don't understand the concept of investing in your own country and infrastructure.